Well, look, this might be a good point with which to segue into just a quick demonstration of an example of the solution that's been developed for you. I will reiterate, this is a fictitious view of the solution that's been developed for Gundagai Meats. The other thing is it's an entirely configurable and customisable platform. So by no means does this show a fixed state. The layout, the visualisations and so on are entirely and fully customisable. So specifically for the GMP solution, this was the specific solution that we landed on. So what we've got, just very quickly, I'm not going to labour this too much, but as you heard earlier, one of the key inputs that Will outlined was moving from the traditional spread of buy, sell of lamb to now being it's critical to be able to track, your margin, and key to margin is obviously labour costs. Now, labour costs are a function of production output and divided by your cost of labour to get your per unit cost of production. The per unit cost of production are a massive driver in terms of profitability or margin generally in the industry. So this is now giving the GMP folks, as Will said, an automated every day at the start of each business day. When they run their daily production meetings in the morning, they're able to review this and look at it quite extensively, extensive level of detail. Earlier on, I mentioned too, in terms of the large number of data sets or data points that are being drawn to generate this. So we've got here our production data at the top. So we understand what we produced in terms of headcount yesterday, broken down by the various production types. Our headcounts, so how many units of labour, if you like, were involved in that day's production. How many of them were absent? Now, as I understand, absenteeism in the industry is a massive cost, massive driver of inefficiency. So it's very important that absenteeism is tracked and therefore able to be managed. We've got obviously our hours of labour and broken down into overtime. So are we efficiently using our labour? Are we moving into overtime or not? And then obviously we get into the costs. So our labour costs is coming in from our payroll system. So all in all, we're bringing all of this together to ultimately get down to our total cost of production, units of production. So what we're able to do now is to start to see with great detail by day, depending on the particular realm or range of dates that we're looking at, we can start to now drill into a particular day of interest and so on. So we would be coming in, we would be looking at the previous day's production numbers and making sure that we're able to identify what those particular anomalies are, if any. So for example, I can drill in, I'm just going to randomly select a day. I'm going to jump in first of all to our production numbers. So this is what we produced yesterday on the particular date that I selected. These are our particular cuts and by different carcass types and so on. And further to that, we can also drill into our labour detail. So this is where Will and his team are able to drill right down to the, again, this is all fictitious data, so don't worry about showing anything that's confidential. We're now down into the individual employee themselves, hours, costs, overtime, non-overtime, direct costs, indirect costs, any bonuses paid, and so on. Ultimately, down the bottom, we've got the day's total labour cost that is able to be then fed back into our overall metrics there. The key thing, we've got our flagged here so we can highlight, red, green, and so on, areas of interest. These off-site employees, if you like, are those that are deemed to be absent. So absenteeism, as I said, is a key driver of efficiency or inefficiency in the industry. So being able to understand is there a consistent employee or particular category or particular days that are driving absenteeism. So understanding what's driving that and being able to then obviously manage that accordingly. So that now gives us, as I said, at the start of each day, the team are able to very, in a detailed way, drive informed discussions and make decisions based on that. There's no manual intervention in this. It's all automated, the interfacing from the production system, the payroll system, the time and attendance system to generate all of these key metrics. Obviously, we can visualise the data as well to see trends, to see whether you're trending in the right or the wrong way, and so on. And another quick example of the sorts of things that we can start to look at for the business we'll mention secondary product production. So that's all of the, in the industry, the non-meat products, I guess. So things like offal, livers, hearts, kidneys, and so on. And a key thing is understanding, are we harvesting, for want of a better word, to the maximum opportunity that we have available to us. And where we're not harvesting, that constitutes a lost opportunity. So we can start to say, right, what's our lost opportunity? Are we missing out on revenue from our secondary products? And we can see here, we can drill in and we can see, righto, this particular day, we have a target of harvesting 80% of our kidneys, but in this particular day, we only actually harvested 61%. So that's, in this example, a lost opportunity of $200. Not big dollars, but en masse, that starts to add up. Now, this is the sort of way of premiumising, if you like, maximising the return on your production to make sure that we are tracking the opportunities that we have there. And if we're not, calling that out and giving the business the opportunity to see that and react accordingly. So that's really the extent of the demo. As I said, fully automated, integrated solution with the production system, the time and attendance system, the payroll system, and the finance system in order to produce an automated daily KPI series of reports and dashboards for the business.